Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Hope everybody's having a wonderful evening. Um, yeah, we're back. We're back this evening for our weekly Fireside Chat. Sorry, y'all missed me last week. Some personal stuff came up. Had to, get to work, do what we normally do here, and be on site. That's what we like to do. So, um, yeah. Without further ado, let me just let you guys know I have a very, very special guest with us. Surprise VIP mystery guest. He's always interacting all over the place. You see him all over the place. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. Mr. Shane Oliver. What's going on, Shane? How are you?
Good evening. Good evening, everybody.
Nice, nice. Now, again, before we actually start diving into conversations, taking questions, getting the engagement, just to let you know, we are streaming all over the Safety FM network, safetyfm.com, safetyfm.live, and the Safety FM app. So go ahead and check us up there. We are also on the radio station, live streaming all over the place. Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube. So, not to mention our favorite place on earth, LinkedIn. So, again, what's going on, Shane? How have you been? What's been, going on in your neck of the woods?
Not much. I've been home for about a month. Some people know I was up in Detroit working. Uh, been away for a few months, so just been hanging out at the house, enjoying the wife and the baby.
I was just about to say, how's that? Taking a break from, the normal grind, and actually having that family time.
Well, it's funny you asked that because that was the first time I've had to go out of town really since I've been married and since the baby's been alive. She's 4 years old. But about 5 years ago, I decided to stop contracting, especially when we found out we were pregnant. And that was probably the most inconvenient thing for them was that they're used to me coming home every day.
Yeah.
And, everything went upside down with the COVID and all that. So I found myself back out on the road again.
On the road again. Hey, I've been there too, brother. Trust me, I have been there too. And like we were talking earlier before the show started, I'm in a hotel room. Shane thought I was at the hotel, conference room or whatnot. And I'm doing this from my hotel room. So it's good to be able to know that, I'm not the only one that is a road warrior. There's a bunch of road warriors that are out there. I commend each and every one of you, but not to mention the wives that are behind us road warriors, that when we go out, they hold down the fort. They make sure that the home front is taken care of. So what biggest trait does your wife have when you're away? What's the biggest feat that she has to tackle when you're out of town?
No, I think really just taking care of the baby by herself that's a big deal. Taking care of all the responsibilities around the house is a big deal.
Yeah.
The one thing I can say for her, first of all, she's my third wife. The other two didn't do a very good job, and that's why we're now divorced. But she did really well, and we were able to save some money. And I told her before I left, we got to set some reasonable, achievable goals to make it worth me being gone. Because if not, I mean, all of us been on the road. I'm sure we've experienced financial follies where you're gone for months and months and come home broke and then got to turn right back around and go back, and it makes it not worth it.
Yeah.
So this time I was able to put some in the savings and I can sit home and enjoy them for a little while.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And I'm going to go ahead and give this to your wife. Hold on. So that way when she comes plays back, because again, all our wives that, that are behind you and the good ones, and again, not to knock the bad ones, but the bad ones, we don't like y'all around here, but the good ones that hold it down, that actually are behind us, support us. There are rocket times when we're in those low, dark places. They're the sunshine that brings out the smiles and able to uplift us. So, man, the chat is lighting up. So, first off, hey, Seuss, what's going on? It's all good. Grind on, brother. Yes, sir.
Hey,
We like to
Cease.
do that. He said, Shane, what's going on? What's going on, Reggie? Good to see you, brother. Steve Bell, nice to see you. Hello to all. Hello, everyone from Atlanta. Bills, dogs running the house. Yep, that is true. That is true. Alan says that he's been married 37 years. He's got a good one. Man, I want to be like you, Al. So, diving into it, you taking a little hiatus, a little break because you've been on the road, been rocking and rolling. Now that you've spent time with the family, what are your and off of your neck, your project? What's coming up? What's on the next? What's on the horizon? What's coming up? In the new year.
Well, all the time I was gone, of course, my goal was try to regain employment here at home, and I kept dumping my resume out and all that stuff. I had a couple of interviews set up for once I got home, and unfortunately, they fell through. And in my experience working on the road, this time of the year is horrible for people trying to find jobs because this is the time of the year when managers and such, they take their vacations for Thanksgiving and Christmas, and a lot of plants are in shutdown mode. They don't have time to be holding anybody's hand. And I told my wife there's two things. I can afford to wait until the new year to go find new work, or I can try to find something now. We got a grandbaby on the way, be here beginning in December, and she's wanting to go back to Texas to visit the family and stuff and see the grandbaby. So, I'm kind of in a tight spot. If I find work here, the chances of us being able to go to Texas to see the baby is pretty slim. So I think I've pretty much just made up my mind. I'll hang out, wait till January. I don't necessarily have anything lined up. There's a couple of coals burning, but that'll just be a matter of when the time comes, if it's still there or not.
Yeah. No, and again, these trying times, and I've seen a lot of brothers and sisters in the safety profession that are out there. They're looking, they're grinding hard, they're putting their resumes out, and they are coming back with such a negative response to the job search. And
Yep.
the have you experienced any of that negativity?
I have. I mean, I might be part of some of that negativity. It's a very defeating situation right now, but I don't think it's any more or less defeating than it ever has been. It's just it's one of those things. What do I got to do to get in? And then you get in, and full disclosure, I haven't had to do very many job interviews in my lifetime, and so therefore I don't think I'm a very good interviewee. I'm kind of tense most of the time. I feel a little bit more relaxed for this podcast than I did the other two, but that tenseness makes it, when I recognize it and I'm sitting in front of people, it's it gets a little nerve wracking, but it's tough out there. And what I'm seeing on LinkedIn is some folks with tremendous amount of experience and tremendous amount of credentials out there starving and been off work this whole time. Got laid off in February or March and haven't worked this whole time. And it's
Damn.
It's not a pleasant. There's one individual I was talking with earlier, and we were discussing another fellow safety that got laid off, or I think he was wrongfully terminated the way the story went, but he's working at Walgreens right now. And we've had conversations before about being able to fall back on a trade, but man, that's a pretty stiff drop to be a clerk at Walgreens. And I know in my job searches in the past, I always hear people saying, well, a job's a job, you just got to take whatever you can get. Well, not when you're a skilled trade. And job's a job when you're jumping from McDonald's to Burger King to Jack in the Box or whatever. But when you have actual marketable skills, you can't sell yourself short.
Yeah, no, definitely. And the fact that, like you said, you don't mind going to pick up your tools again, be in a millwright, transitioning into safety, and now, in a situation where you might have to pick up your tools again, not being scared to go back, but, again, you got into safety to not have to go back. But so and we say negativity. There's a lot of negative stuff that's going on out in the world right now with recruiters and with hiring managers, the hiring personnel that are out there, not understanding fully what job descriptions are looking like, not understanding what a person, and you're passing by a whole bunch of people to try to get the the lowest dollar amount, which again, from a business standpoint, I understand that you're trying to save budget, trying to, allocate dollars, especially, fourth quarter, end of the year, not to mention all the crap that's going on with the pandemic. But if you take a second to actually look and understand the individual that's right in front of you and saying, oh no, he has all of this experience, or she has all of this experience, all of these credentials, she's going to cost too much, let's move on to somebody, and I don't want to say of lesser value, because everybody that's in the safety profession is, we had to start somewhere. We had to start with an OSHA 10. We had to start with an OSHA 30. We had to go get the 510, the 511, whatever it may be. But if you are not working with somebody in the safety profession, being a hiring manager, being an onboarding professional, somebody that's there to get somebody, up to speed and on board, you're not going to understand what you're looking at. A lot of times the copy and paste goes into play. And Steve asked what our interview is asking for in an applicant these days. What is their ideal safety person, that they're looking for? As it does seem that this is the negative. Yes. Again, it depends on where you're looking and who you're looking to go. I was going to ask in that tone, why is it so tense? Are the people that are interviewing knowledgeable about safety? And that question's for you, Shane. Why is it so tense when you get into an interview?
Well, like I said, that tenseness is me. That's my own shortcoming. But just say, for example, you sit in a panel style interview where you got 3 or more people asking you questions at one time. You're sitting in a boardroom and it just seems like they're firing off at you left and right. And for the person sitting in the interviewer chair, as soon as the first no or I don't know or something like that comes out, it's just a domino after that, where I know they're not doing it on purpose, but it really feels like they're trying to disqualify you from the job. They ask more and more technical questions, and the more you say I don't know, the more it disqualifies you, and you sell your own self out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I mean, there may be people that do that intentionally, but I would like to think in my heart of hearts they're not doing it intentionally. But we really can't tell.
Right. No, and it definitely, I've been known to kind of be tense going into an interview, and then they start, asking the serious questions, how are you going to change the culture? What are you going to do to, what makes you set apart from, and that's where I start to kind of open up, and I'm like, okay, either I'm going to crush the hell out of this interview or I'm going to bomb the hell out of it. So it's definitely good to understand, that I'm not the only one that gets butterflies in their stomach sometimes when you're going for an interview. But
yeah,
to go past that, and one of the other questions that Steve had, he said, another question: if they cannot pay you what you want now, are they willing to pay more later? A year from now, or if I take this job, and again, this is something for all of the CEOs that are out there that are looking for safety professionals, and telling your HR personnel or your onboarding to go find it, ask that question, and you interviewers, that are interviewees that are going out there that are job seeking, ask that. If I were to take this position at a lower rate, would you be willing to pay me, in a year from now when circumstances become better?
Yeah. Well, that's money is probably the most uncomfortable topic of the whole deal, and it's usually the one I wait to the end. But after the last few interviews I've been to, I'm thinking I'm going to probably start asking that up front without wasting anybody's time, because I'll tell you, I'm not going to disclose the place I just did an interview at, but for such a small operation, they had so much stuff going on in there, and they were asking of me to do so much stuff that I'm capable of doing, and I would have loved being part of. But they fired off in the end $18 to $20 an hour, and that's not necessarily bad pay for people that stay home all the time. But in our capacity, they weren't asking me to be a manager. They were just asking me to be a safety. But I mean, they were wanting me to create policies, create a safety committee.
You were the director. Yeah.
I mean, I was going to be doing everything with all the hazardous materials, the shipping, the labeling. I mean, everything about it. For $18 an hour, you can't do that.
And that's another thing. CEOs, please investigate. Look at the market rate of what a safety professional is going for these days. It is not, $15, $18 an hour anymore. Maybe 5-6 years ago, that would have been, entry level coming in. But and I say entry level as, only coming into the safety role with an OSHA 30, maybe, again, somebody coming in from the trades that has a bunch of experience, somebody that's coming in with only 2 years of experience, I can understand. But again, check the market value rate, just like you would check the market value rate on anything else that you're going to purchase or invest in. Check what everybody is doing. Tony Taylor says a job is a job equals a cop out. I hate seeing my brothers and sisters not appreciated. Appreciate that, Tony.
So here's a real question I have is who's setting the bar in pay, and why does that bar keep dropping? I mean, it's just gradually dropping and dropping and dropping.
Yeah.
And is it safety people just taking whatever they can get and making it go down, or is it these companies pushing it and seeing how far they can take it? How far we're willing to sell ourselves short just to have a job.
I think it comes from a little bit of both areas. It comes from CEOs, hiring managers, operation managers not understanding what value they're going to get, as well as them understanding or having somebody that they've already invested in, and due to, circumstances, they had to cut budget, they had to cut, whatever it may be. And then saying, okay, well, now that's a big chunk of money that we're saving. Let's try to lower the pay scale for that particular job. Less overhead means less cost. And I think that's where, it just keeps getting pushed down and down. And again, there is crap safety professionals out there. I'm not going to lie. They're shit. They're crap. They suck at what they do. And please, anybody that's watching this, and if you consider yourself a crap safety professional, please get out of the business, because you're tarnishing it for up and coming people that are wanting to get into the business, as well as people that are very passionate about what we do. And you go and end up messing it up for a lot of people. If you don't like it, get out of the profession. Please just do us a favor. Now back to, and we don't like a lot of negativity. We dislike that, but again, sometimes that negative portion has to come out. Back to Alan's comment, it says it's on all how you present yourself. Good book, The First 60 Seconds. Great for job seekers. Get it. Taken from me, it works. Thank you, sir. Let's see. I think I seen Doc in here. Oh my God, it's Safety Shane. Love you, man. I think that's Linda. I can see that. Sounds like a deposition. How can we offer tools on this platform to make more people prepared for that? Hey, again, if you're looking for somebody to interview you, I can interview you. No problem. I'll sit right here and we can do it live if we want to, or we can do it behind scenes. It'll be a good conversation. That's also good. What questions might end up coming up in that interview process. That way you get familiar how to answer. I think, anybody that you reach out to in your network, say, hey, can you interview me for a director position? I'm applying for a director position. I want to be prepared. Bam, reach out. I think that'll be a great it's great to have this platform and to be able to do this type of stuff, because then I can, anybody that's on here can reach out and say, hey, I need help. And that's all you have to do is reach out. Shane, what are the top 5 questions they are asking?
Oh, boy. I've heard things like, what do you do if you got a employee that doesn't want to follow directives? Have you ever had that before? And what'd you do about it? And it's gone all the way to, what about when you have disagreements with managers? Give us an instance, and what was the result? Things like that. I find that question coming up more and more with companies that are already a disaster to begin with.
Yeah.
It has a lot to do with interactions, and then they start asking technical questions like, I don't know, for example, how long can hazardous waste sit on site before it has to be shipped? And unless you're doing that kind of stuff full time, you probably wouldn't know that answer right off the top of your head based on previous training, But I've heard a wide variety of questions that don't seem to be the same. The real problem is, I like what you're saying, where we can get with each other and have mock interviews, because as an interviewee, the one thing I hate the most is not getting any feedback. You get turned down from the job, but why? What did I do wrong? And, as professionals, if we could provide each other with that unbiased feedback, like, if it was my demeanor, I'm twitching too much or fidgety or talk too much or got off track or whatever, and as friends and fellow, professionals, we should be able to provide each other with that. And I think that strengthens us up.
Oh yeah, definitely. And again, given that and constructive criticism, it goes a long way if you're able to give honest feedback. And we were talking about this, on the job site the other day, but honest feedback, upward and downward, if you're already in a position. But not only that, getting honest feedback, you hiring managers, your recruiters that are out there that probably will end up getting this or seeing this somehow, some way, listening to this on the radio, on, wherever you're streaming this at. But again, give that feedback. Don't just, okay, you bring them in for, somebody in for an interview, you interview them. Don't ghost them. Give them some feedback. Hey, you weren't what we were looking for because of X, Y, and Z, or, you didn't answer these questions or didn't have the vast knowledge that we were looking for, whatever it may be, but at least give them some feedback so they're not just left in the wind thinking, damn, was it me? Did I do something wrong? Are they, do they not like me? Was I not approachable? Those types of things is just bad juju.
I've been upgraded in the middle of an interview, got upgraded for the position I was applying for to a higher position. And then 3 interviews go by and all of a sudden it got downgraded to where I don't qualify for any of them. It's crazy.
How you do that? You're going to do corporate director position, and oh no, we just need a safety coordinator. You can handle that, but still do the activities of the corporate safety director.
That's more or less what they're asking for.
Yeah, that's crazy. Rizzo, my man, said Pedro, hey bro, hola. Shane, friendly advice, maybe do a few practice interviews ahead of time. It might help. Just a friendly suggestion. Yeah, definitely. And that's one of the things we're talking about. Drew, what's going on? Safety Doc. Good evening to myself and Shane. Let's see. Steve Bell, I don't think people know what the job entails and what they should pay. That is why the turnover is so high because of that. It's true. And the turnover in the safety profession, average 2 years, right? Average 2 years. And a lot of times they're either companies are getting rid of safety professionals, or we're having to find other jobs and resign because of the culture and the upper C-suite executive management, and they're not wanting us to grow and pay us what we're worth. So but again, not understanding what we actually do, being the boots on the ground, being the face of the safety program. You got to be able to stand side by side with your people that you want to go out there and lead, in order to figure out, oh man, he's really, or she's really bringing some value. They're really bringing, I'm getting a return on my investment. I'm paying them a wage. I'm investing in their 401k, but I'm getting a return on that because they're out there grinding with the workforce. They're out there making sure everybody is safe.
Right. That's the question somebody else asked a minute ago about what if you started off at a low pay? Would the company be willing to promote you? That last job I interviewed for, I was talking with my wife about it. Well, what if I started off at that $20? Let's say I did absolutely the best job possible in 90 days. Would they be willing to give me a raise? And then say another 90 days after that, we've made some tremendous differences and stuff. Would they be willing to push it up? But I used to blame some of this on the recruiters, the ones that make the post, the ones that create the job listing, and I've pretty well found out that it ain't their fault. A lot of times you can get pushed through by recruiters, but at the end of the day, you're going to sit in an interview room with the hiring managers. And those people know exactly what they were looking for. They know exactly what they're doing. And you're kind of left in the good old boy type situation where either your character is going to mesh with theirs immediately or it's not. And if it doesn't, you're gone.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's a combination of both. I think we were talking about, the pay and not understanding, upper management not understanding what the job requires. Amen. LOL. Thanks, Drew. Or they have had a bad experience with a safety pro just sitting in their office. Those are the crap safety professionals, and it puts the good ones in a really bad spot. Yes, I agree, Steve. You can't do your job from an office unless you're a safety admin and that is your job. You're doing all the paperwork. You're keeping up with the ISNet world. You're making sure the safety dashboard's up to date. You're inputting all the data. That's perfectly fine. That's good. But if you have safety manager, safety specialist, safety director, you need to be out on the floor, out in the field, figuring out what is going on and that what is the best plan of attack to keep people safe. Seeing where our shortcomings might be, where something could possibly go wrong. Is there a new line in there? Is there a new process that needs to be implemented? And you can't do that from the office. And some people say, oh, well, I have cameras everywhere and I can see it. No, you need to be out there engaging. You need to be out there getting to know each and every person that's out there by name. Sorry, I go on these rants sometimes.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I've been saying that for a while, though. You can't manage a safety program from sitting in an office. That's reactive based. The only time anybody sees the safety guy is when something happens, or once every 6 months he comes walking around inspecting the dark corners in the back of the building that ain't seen no light in 30 years and crying about a fire extinguisher just lost, or you just can't do that.
Yeah. Tony Taylor says safety is looked at as a liability and not an asset only until there's an incident.
Right.
And that's correct. Because again, they're like, oh, how are you going to save our ass now? Because there was an incident. And I'm not about being the company's scapegoat or anything like that. And that's why, I enjoy and I'm very passionate about being a safety professional. So, when the time comes and I go, move on to the next project, the next job, whatever it may be, I know what I'm going to be able to do and say, hey, this is what I want. Are you willing to do that? And if not, then, we'll just part ways right here. So that way I don't waste their time. They're not wasting mine, because I know I'm going to bring value right off the jump. I'm going to be able to, go out and engage and talk to everybody. And, again, and like you said, being able to mesh well with those hiring managers and those people inside the C-suite, it definitely, plays a big part in that.
Well, there's so many of these companies that are just looking for somebody to play safety. They're not looking for people like me and you that want to be in the field. That's where we feel the most value. That's where we can make our differences out in the field. They want somebody, a yes man, that's going to, jump every time they snap their fingers and I'll do that. Yeah, I'll do that. And, that's not what I'm about.
Yeah, no, definitely. And Drew said, my issue is initial screeners, typically recruiters, who have to review you and have knowledge of the questions they are asking you. Right. And again, those hiring recruiters that, that call you and say, oh, I have these from the client, these questions that I have to ask you from the client, but they don't know what those questions are or what goes into those questions. And, you say something that they feel isn't correct. They write that down and then they give bad information back to the hiring manager. And that's where,
Right.
that disconnect comes from. Steve said very true about the feedback. Let's see. Shane, how are you choosing who you work for? Are you just answering ads, or are you doing research on those places that you're, looking for?
That's a little bit of both. I mean, I got to a little bit where I was just throwing my resume out there, and whoever would bite would bite. Because I mean, at this point, I feel like I'm able to go into any industry, whether it's general industry, construction. I'd love to go to wind farm. I mean, there's a lot of stuff I would like to do, but I don't have experience. But the same catch-22 everybody else experiences is, how do we get it if you won't hire us?
Right.
What's going to happen on a wind farm? A lot of crane activity, a lot of fall protection, a lot of aerial lift. That's stuff that can happen on any job site. So sometimes I research and sometimes I don't. I've threw so many resumes out there. I have somebody ask me to do an interview and I have to go back and remember what the company was and what they do. And I mean, that's just being honest,
Hey, and especially when you're in the job search, I've been known to do that too. I'm hitting, the easy apply, bam, 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 hitting that damn button, 300 emails in, that go out, and then you get a call and, hey, would you be able to interview? And I'm like, damn, what company is this again? And the way to answer that and to, when they call you and say, are you willing to interview? And, you just ask them politely, what company is this again? I've been putting out a bunch of resumes and, want to make sure that I send the correct, response in the email. And then they'll be like, well, it's such and such. And you write it down real quick. And then, but yeah, the ones that actually have promised, that give you a call back, that give you some feedback, I usually star those. And then sometimes it's just, by the masses. Hopefully something, it's like when you go fishing, you throw your line out there, hoping to get a bite. If it's good, you reel it in, land a big one. If it's not, you throw it back and keep fishing. Jesus said, make sure you get the agreement in writing. I learned that the hard way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it definitely is. A lot of verbals go on, especially during hiring managers and, on the hiring side. But as long as you get that in writing, have them send you an offer letter signed by somebody. So that way, and save it. Don't just delete it. Don't throw it away. Save it. So that way, when you go and say, when you look at that first check, you can be like, hey, I thought I was getting paid X and you're paying me Y. Where is the number one site or place to post safety jobs?
Yeah, pretty much anywhere.
Yeah, anywhere. And for that, I would say, if you have safety jobs or on LinkedIn, is a good start. You can put them there. You can put them on Facebook. Don't know, how that works. And then, you can throw them out there to ZipRecruiter and Indeed. I know of that. I've dealt with people there that have, pretty good knowledge of what we do. And they actually, when a safety professional, I actually did some, some stuff on the back end where when a safety resume comes in for a safety position, it gets, shifted over to an actual person that was in safety that works for Indeed, not just a run-of-the-mill recruiter. So it's pretty cool. Depending on there's all kinds of websites out there. Glassdoor, I know, is another one. I use that more so for research. Glassdoor. I don't like the you can actually go see what people are putting about the the company and see what the culture is like and that type of stuff off of Glassdoor. Indeed, ZipRecruiter, Career Builder. That's another one that's pretty good. You go out there and they tailor it to what it is. I think depends on if you're in construction. I know there's a couple of actual
Rotex.
Rotex, constructionjobs.com or something like that. And there's a bunch out there. But yeah, I would say put them on LinkedIn. Definitely throw them out there. If you even if you just have somebody that's reaching out and say, hey Steve, do you have somebody that could fill this position? Put it out there, tag a couple of people, and it'll start to circulate like wildfire. And you'll get a bunch of hits, a bunch of people that hopefully qualified and land the job.
The one thing I liked about LinkedIn is when they post jobs on there, it says easily apply. That means an employer can look at your whole profile and do the social media sweep, and I mean they can look at everything. They can see who you are, and you're not a 12-year-old kid claiming to have 30 years of experience or whatever. Indeed's doing that. A lot of the ZipRecruiter, but some of them you got to watch because it autofills information. You go back and look at your profile, and it'll say something not really what you want it to be, the reviewer to look at.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and again, a lot of times when you and you apply for a job, what's the first thing that they're going to do? They're going to go look at your LinkedIn profile. If you're a safety professional, if you're applying for a C-suite or even any position nowadays, they're gonna get your resume. They're like, oh, you have a LinkedIn. Let's go check out the LinkedIn. What is he doing on there? Is he or is she, fit to be in our culture? Are they very negative? Do they have a lot of negativity going on their page? That type of stuff, toxicity, and a lot of times what you have on your social media pages dictates whether you get hired or not. And it's pretty shitty because what we post on social media, granted, social media has a funny way of turning some things around and doing certain things, but if we post it and it's tasteful, it's educational, it's motivational, it's you're able to teach, learn, whatever it may be on your LinkedIn page, on your Facebook page, on your Instagram page, what does it matter? Right? I think that, and again, that's why I try to keep everything on my LinkedIn page PG-13. Sometimes I go the Jay Allen route and go rated R, but it is what it is, and they can ask me about anything on my social media pages, the ones that I give access to. Now, granted, LinkedIn, perfectly fine. It's all professional. It's what I'm doing with the podcast, with the live streams, stuff that I interact with. So, same thing with Instagram. I have an Instagram, X Factor Safety podcast page. Facebook, I have an X Factor Safety podcast page. You can go check those out. What I'm putting out there is, is what you want to see, is what you want to look at. Now, you want to get on the personal side, you have to be my friend in order to get on my personal page, that type of stuff. So, Steve Bell said that is very true about social media. Yeah, and I mean, it's shitty that the world has come to that, but then again, it kind of gives you an idea on what you're bringing into your culture. If you already have a well-established culture and you bring somebody that's very toxic or has a bunch of toxicity on their page, might be somewhere you can, vet that out and say, nah, that's not going to be a right fit. But again, if it's a personal page, but they're really good at what the hell they do, you got to give them the chance. Got to give the discussion and talk.
Yep. Well, I had a friend remind me one time that Big Brother's always watching, and here and there, companies, and this was a few years ago back, but companies are starting to scan those profiles and look and see what you're doing, and sometimes look at your friends and stuff. And on Facebook, even though you can set Facebook to private, there's still a certain amount of stuff they can see.
Yeah.
And so I saw somebody say something the other day about the difference between who you are on LinkedIn and who you are on other platforms. And if you wouldn't want your boss seeing it, you probably don't need to be saying it. That type of thing.
Yeah, because once you hit send, once you put it out there, once you post whatever it's out there in translation for everybody to see, whether it be here, whether it be in China and Australia, wherever, somebody can find it and it's out there on the airwaves. So that's why we try to put nothing but positivity and happiness out into the world. Try to bring people up and make sure that they are fulfilling their best life and being the best versions of them. So yeah, I mean, it's great. So what's been one of your hardest, during your job search, what's been one of your hardest feats to overcome so far?
I mean, again, I haven't really been digging real deep, but the main thing is I moved here to South Carolina last year to fill a position here at a job, and then I got laid off in March. Well, because I was working all the time and I don't have any resources here, the hardest thing for me is kind of not knowing the local area and exactly how far of a drive that's going to be for different facilities, and not having resources. Uh, there's a gold mine up the way from my house, and I probably had 16 people say, "Hey, have you checked the gold mine?" And I'm like, "Yeah, everybody in the world's told me to check the gold mine, but I can't get anybody to give me a contact person." And of course, I know I'd have to go back through the new miner course and all that business, whatever else they wanted me to do. But again, I'm in a place where I feel like I could go to any industry and succeed. I don't need any handhold to wherever I'm at.
Right. No, and a lot of times, and a lot of people, think that it's not what you know, it's who you know, and that's not the case. It's a lot of what you know. Granted, who you know is, and again, your network is your net worth. It is, the more you network, the more you're out there, and you're making connections and friends, and who knows, on LinkedIn, ask your network. Does anybody know of any positions? Maybe something will come out. But knowing what you know and what value you bring, like you said, you can go to any industry. You can go to general industry. You can go to construction. You can be in an automotive plant. You can be at an oil refinery. That type of stuff, and it plays a big part, because it then puts another tool in your bag when you're able to transition into so many different areas. And I'll be having a discussion about transferable skills with Siobhan Colleen. She invited me over to her Industry Explorers live stream that she's doing to help those those people and talk about those transferable skills. How can we transfer what we know to what we're doing now? And again, we go back to the basics, and that's what last week's was going to be. I was actually going to pull up a JSA and actually go and dive in deep to the basics of how to write one. But you just go back to the basics. It's you have your theory, which is your OSHA manuals, right? All your ANSI standards and NFPA 70E, NFPA 101, those types of things. So you go back to the basics, get what you need, but have that working knowledge of where you're going, what somebody's doing, what is the practical use. So
there's so many people out there asking questions like, how do I get into this? And I'm learning that the answer is, what do you know how to do? What are you interested in? Because not just everybody can just jump into anything, but even though I say that I could go to any industry, the way that comes out in conversation, just for example, when I was in Detroit working the auto plant, those people up there, the automotive industry that's so special to them and so unique to them that they think anything outside of that is, less than. And, they tell me things like, "Oh, that's because these people don't have automotive experience and whatnot." I'm like, does it really matter? We're doing construction. Would it matter if this thing was going on in the open field from the dirt up? Would it matter if there was no walls right now, what we're doing? Or, no, it's just another place doing something different. There's the same equipment in here machines. It doesn't make a difference if you're making straw hats or spoons or mayonnaise jars or cars or whatever you're making, it doesn't make any difference.
Right. Yeah.
But, they take offense to that when you say that, because their facilities are special to them,
Yeah. Oh yeah. And all the automotive plants, all union, being and I've worked around union workers, and it's they're a different breed. One, because again,
totally different.
Yeah, because they go through that 4 or 5 year program from your laborer to apprentice to journeyman, journeyman 2, master journeyman, that type of stuff, and they take pride in that. And then when you see them on the lines, you know, the automotive labor union, you know, the UAW, and they're out there on those lines, they take pride in what they're doing because they see the quality cars that are coming out. And, you know, you talk bad about, you know, the any kind of union, or you talk bad about any kind of automotive industry, or, you know, if you're in a refinery, like you said, making mason jars, or you know, pickles, and, you know, that's their cup of tea. That's what they do. That's what they like to do. Steve Bell said, I think a lot of people think that pushing safety is easy, and no,
it is not.
It is not.
It is not.
It is not. It is not. Some people make it look easy. Some people, push it different ways. You know, we try to give out the best here at the X Factor safety. It's what we do. And again, for those of you just joining us, I know we've been going 50 minutes now. We've been listening to, you know, if you're just tuning in, we're streaming across all platforms, live streaming, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. We are also streaming on all the Safety FM apps, on all the Safety FM network, safetyfm.com, safetyfm.live, and the Safety FM app. On the radio, we're doing all kinds of things. We got Shane Oliver here. It is 7:47 in the evening here in the U.S. For those that are streaming in the U.K., that's pretty late. So you'll catch this on repeat if you want. Safety consultant, my man Sheldon Primus. What's going on? What's up? Good job, guys. So yeah, I mean, so what are you doing? Obviously, you're taking, you know, we talked about it in the beginning, you're taking a hiatus, you're enjoying the family. What are you guys doing to decompress outside of, you know, your normal day to day? You guys getting out in nature, or, you know, you're doing a lot of playing with the baby?
Oh yeah, this is one of my favorite times of the year. You got a lot of, I ride motorcycle. A lot of toy runs are happening now, and it's not the same as it is in Texas. We got a whole lot more goes on in Texas, but my wife got us in a Humane Society fundraiser a couple of weeks ago, and a little poker run, and she actually won the card pool with 3 kings and made her feel good. And with all this, you know, we really hadn't got to go out and do things as a family. And I think I said before that back in March, when everybody was on house arrest and couldn't go anywhere, you know, I'm across the states. Mm-hmm. And so now I'm in a place to where all the stuff that I would have liked to have been doing on house arrest, I'm doing now, but we're just not on house arrest. But it's I got the baby and some extracurricular activities. She does karate and different stuff. She goes to school, so
nice.
We're just kind of taking turns enjoying it.
Yeah, no, that's definitely awesome. That's awesome. Karate, huh? That's gonna be cool.
Yeah.
Yep, that's good. My man Dennis said, I believe one of the most difficult tenets of safety to understand / follow is using power instead of authority to influence and shape the decision makings to reach safe outcomes. Totally agree, my man. Thank you for putting that out there. And again, it's using the power that you have, and you know, whatever power that may be, whether you're knowledgeable on the standards and you can train on those standards, if you have the power, you know, the gift of gab, and you can go out and be long-winded and talk, you know, and have a good engagement rate inside your safety meetings, but not trying to influence with do as I say, not as I do. You know, lead with that iron fist type mentality. It's not going to work. You're going to get people that shut and close off and don't tell you anything. You get people that are going to not report when something happens. But if you're able to engage and, you know, like Dennis said, using that power to influence and shape what your outcome, you know, what kind of culture do you want to instill? So with that, what kind of power do you have, Shane? What's your superpower, brother?
I think my ability to engage with people is probably my superpower. I know I'll take every opportunity I can, and you know, the most thing I try to instill is that I'm not there to get your money. I would take my last breath trying to teach you something before I try to take your money.
Nice.
But interesting. The last project I was on, we had this young man that was he came in from out of state, Chicago, I think, and kid had some different issues. I think probably some bipolar and depression and all that. And he had a lot of cut marks on his wrist. But at any rate, one morning his medicine ran out, and he ended up going into a panic attack. And I had the project superintendent come to me and ask, can I go over there and talk to him, that he was crying, and try to get him right so we can get to work. And it took about 30 or 45 minutes or so to explain to him that, hey, brother, I know I'm out of town too. Sometimes your dog dies, wife starts having problems, and there ain't nothing we can do about it except throw money at it.
No.
That doesn't mean we're solving problems. It just means we're throwing money at it. But it was a good conversation. But you learn from that sometimes we have to be counselors, sometimes we have to be confidants, third-party mediators. It ain't always about safety. It's just about being a human, and making the people understand that on my best day, I'm just like you, or worse, likely worse.
Yeah, no, exactly, likely worse. And like Steve Bell said, don't be a bullshitter. Nope. Yep, or even a yes man. Yep, nope. Brown noser. No, it's not going to get you anywhere. You can't butter up to to the safety director, or if you especially if you're new and you're trying to make a name for yourself, just be real, be a person, have some compassion and empathy when you're out there, because again, you don't know what people are going through, you don't know what people's circumstances are, but you do know that guess what, they're working just like you, they have a family to provide for just like you. So take that into consideration next time you go out there and you want to bullshit somebody around, or you want to, tell them not the whole truth or string them along, and just don't do it. Don't do it.
I had opportunity to do some cool stuff on that last project where they asked me about a SDS for some chemical we had in the plant, and the plant representatives weren't giving me the information I needed, and I just barked into Google or something, and I was sitting in a break area with a bunch of people there, and they're like, "Oh, just like that, huh?" And I said, "Yeah, I told you in orientation, the wonderful technology. You can just type it into Google and get anything you want." And and I had a lot of opportunities, especially the laborers. We had a bunch of youngsters, young 20s and first job and things like that. And I had a whole bunch of opportunities to teach these kids stuff that they probably would have never learned otherwise.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm always up for having the younger generation, because they're like sponges when they want to be, right? Yep. And
when they want to be,
because again, the social media, and they're always on Snapchat and Facebook and whatever other social media things that they're on. But if you can break into that niche of the young, that Gen Zer, and have them become successful, whether they be millwrights, whether they be iron workers, and you get to them, you're able to teach them stuff, then it your footprint is going to be there going through that. You instill something in them, they go with those little nuggets, and they're man, I learned a shitload of stuff from Shane. He taught me a lot.
I know I left that job, and I had about 4 or 5 of the laborers that were left, and they're beating on the rails, chanting for me and stuff. And I did this, this holy roller march out of the plant when I was leaving. It was cool to know that I made that much of an impact on those kids.
Yeah, Shane. Yeah. Saki Anderson said, safety managers are such great people. I always admire their sales skills, and again, it's great. We try not to be pushy salesmen, but at the same time, we want you to buy into our product, and that's safe, being safe. We want you to have a good feeling, that warm and fuzzy feeling when you go into buy a new car, right? You see the one that you like, and you're like, damn, I really like that truck, I want that. Again, the salesman comes over, and they start talking numbers, and they, oh, would you like a water? Would you like a coffee? They make you feel at home. That's what safety professionals are. Not pushy car salesman that, hey, how can I help you? Oh, do you want to buy this? Okay, we'll sign right here. No, we're not doing that. We want to be able to engage in what are you looking for? We ask the questions, and we want to be there as a support system for you.
Yep.
So, reaching that hour mark, Shane, what would you tell a younger Shane? What advice would you give a younger you?
Whew, I don't know. You sprung that one on me. I don't know. I think, like I said a little while ago, you got to figure out what you're the most interested in, what you know how to do. And there's so many different paths to pick, and even though you pick a path, doesn't mean that later on there may not be a fork in the road. And just keep chasing what you're interested in, and eventually you'll find your niche.
Oh yeah, definitely. Now, what 3 apps do you have in your phone? What are your top 3 apps that you use right now?
Oh, LinkedIn for sure. I got a game I play, and my email, I think. I don't do just a whole lot, and plus I just switched over to Apple, so that was not the easiest transition in the world from Android to Apple, but I'm still trying to learn how to use the phone.
Yes. I'm gonna go. And again, I say that because, and I say yes, I love Apple. That's what I use now. I used to be an Android myself. All the Samsungs when they came out, I was diehard Android until my wife got me onto an Apple, and I have yet to change. I've been Apple ever since. So
one thing I like about this Apple phone though is it has the podcast app, and I can go to all you guys and listen to whoever I feel like listening to. And picking the baby up from school, I got about a 30-minute drive, and I can really turn this stuff on anytime I want and listen to it.
And see, that's why we like to do this type of stuff, because then you can, when and just think about it. When your daughter gets older, then you're able to play this for her and come back and be like, "Hey, remember I was on this show?" And it's just that. And I think that's the coolest portion of doing this, the live streaming, the podcast, and putting it out there, is that when I'm long gone, my daughters can come and say, "This is what my dad did. These, this is how he reached, people, whether it be one person, whether it be 10 people, this is what he did." And, leaving that footprint for them, because it's not for me. I don't work for me anymore. I go out there, grind, and try to leave as much value on the table as I can for people to take a hold of, but I do it for them, for all my daughters out there. And I got 4. So yeah. But no, man, I greatly appreciate you, Shane. Any last words? Where can people find you at? Where do they, get a hold of you?
Well, I'm on LinkedIn mostly. I'm pretty sure you can find my phone number on there. Anybody's welcome. If somebody professional were to look at my LinkedIn page, you're going to see me supporting everybody. You're going to see me supporting folks looking for work. Some of the least suspecting people have just lost jobs, and I'm just pushing it forward. And I got a lot of recruiters and different things in my network, so I just share it and share it and share it, and whatever I can do to be encouraging. And but I'm open to anybody.
Look at that. So reach out to him on LinkedIn, Shane Oliver. You'll find him out there. Mr. Steve, that's right, man. A legacy. Yep, trying to do that slowly but surely. So, Shane, my man, greatly appreciate you taking the time out, coming on the show, being and blessing us with all your knowledge. So,
I appreciate it.
No, not a problem, brother. Greatly appreciate it.
Anybody listening, just understand I'm not special. If you're looking for work, I'm just as frustrated as you are. I'm here to help in whatever way I can and network every way I can. So hang in there.
Nice. So with that being said, people, I greatly appreciate everybody that tuned in, everybody that was in the chat. We know, we like having those comments come in, and your insight as well. It's very valuable to us and what we do here. So until next time, remember, before you go to sleep tonight, ask yourself that one question: what is your X factor? Until next time, we'll see you later.